What is good, everybody? Welcome back to Real Fan Sports. I'm here in the building with my partner, my brother, Nonpfixion. What's good, baby?
Man, I'm chilling. Honestly, I actually looking forward to this one a lot.
Dude,
It's good to finally get somebody to help us help y'all.
I love that, man. I mean, look, we got a special guest, as y'all all know. I know a lot of people in here excited for it. Mr. Blaze from BKR Sport. Definitely excited to get that going. We are going to go ahead and give y'all a couple sports update before we get Blaze in here and have some real fun. But appreciate everyone for tuning in to episode 10 of This Week in Sports. And what a week it's been, Don. There's been a lot of things going on around the league in
Man,
both the
some
NFL
crazy
and
things.
some women's basketball. The biggest one dropped this
Yeah,
morning. Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs has
that's
gotten
crazy.
sent over to Houston. Houston is absolutely stacking up, man. They try to win it all.
If they don't win the South, I'll be surprised. I'll be honest with you. I'll
Absolutely
be surprised.
surprised. And then other NFL news, you got Snead being traded from the Chiefs going over to the Titans, one that no one expected either. We all kind of knew Stefon Diggs was going to move somewhere eventually, especially him expressing all of his anger and such. But the Snead thing completely caught me off guard. I was not ready for this one at all. He was the heart of that team.
Yeah, the defense they needed him. Like you said, but we talked about it earlier. He was the one that kept him, the Young Bucks, in control, in line. Now getting rid of him, it has to be a money thing. Because why would you trade him? Like you need him. You actually need him.
And then a defensive end, Hassan Reddick, being traded from Eagles to Jets. Jets beefing up that defense again. I mean, that's one thing that they've had. Offense not there. I don't know why they don't go for an offensive lineman, but they'll go ahead and beef up that defense a little more, adding Hassan Reddick. But we'll see. I mean, the NFL is just tossing and turning. We're really getting into all the fun. We had the free agency. We're starting to get some trades, but the big thing is the NFL draft, which is coming up very soon. The NFL draft will be April 25th to April 27th. And as a matter of fact, you can join us live for day one of the NFL draft with the Come On In Sports Network crew. And it's going to be a banger. We're hoping to have a bunch of special guests and have a lot of fun along with it.
It's going to be fun.
Them guys are crazy, man.
It's gonna be fun.
Coach Rock, he better be eating the oatmeal, and we got to keep him away from the Hulk or the Draymond Green he likes to call. We got to keep him away from that. But in other news, Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes are moving on to the Final Four to face Paige Becker and the UConn Huskies, and then we have the NC State Wolfpack to face the South Carolina Gamecocks. A lot of great games. And again, we will be live for that one this Friday. We're going to try and do a doubleheader for both those games as we see who goes in to win the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship. It's been great through the last couple days. I mean, the LSU Iowa game has done bigger numbers than most NBA championships have. It's insane.
They said any NBA event, not with Steph Curry. Which is crazy.
It is. But regardless of that, we all know why y'all are here. So let's go ahead and bring him on in. Mr. Blaze from BKR Sport. How we doing, brother? You're live.
I'm going all right, man. No, just listening to can you hear me now? You're good?
Yes, you're good.
We got you.
Yeah, sweet as. Yeah, no, good to be on here, man. You know, I've obviously seen you guys promoting a bit of the old rugby league content over there in America, which is great. We love to see that. And you know, I've been listening to the American sports as you guys were just talking about, and that Stefon Diggs news this morning was pretty crazy, man. So exciting times there.
Yeah,
it was like the worst thing whenever like those big news breaks like early in the morning, because my phone, I kept like trying to snooze my alarm, and I'm like, what is still going? I'm like, it was every 30 seconds I'm getting an alert. But man,
no, it's been crazy.
But man, Blaze, so tell us about you a little bit, man. How did BKR Sports come about? I know we talked a little bit off screen, but what is BKR Sport? How'd you start it? What's the story of it?
Yeah, look, I've been doing it for, about 8 years now for rugby league content specifically. 9 years since I started up my channel, which my first ever vlog was actually Manchester City versus AS Roma, I think it was, which is down there in Melbourne for like an ICC tournament. But you know, I've been a part of the Titans frontline, which used to be known as the Legion, which is like the active area, the crazy supporters section, where if you watch any of my vlogs, you know how crazy we can get. And so I've been doing that since, you know, late 2009, early 2010. And then I thought, you know, after about 5-6 years, I moved down to Melbourne, but I was still going to every home game regardless. And I thought, Well, look, we're a team that is brand new. We started in 2007, and we were still trying to build fans. We're having a bit of a struggling time at the moment, and I wanted to show that one, our fans do exist, and also two, show that the passion is there for the club. And so in 2016, I started. Although I was already traveling to every game, I was like, well, I may as well. I saw the sidemen doing what they were doing, and I was like, I may as well kind of give that a crack and just video myself at the game. And so show the people, if you come out to the game, you'll still have a good time regardless of the result. So, and now we go to every single game, home or away, man. I'll be in Townsville this week. I'll be in Canberra the week after. I'll be in Auckland, New Zealand in 4 weeks' time. And it's busy. But
I was like, busy man.
A long journey, but it's all worthwhile.
Yeah, you're lucky to get me out the house. Cool. You traveling all over the place. I struggle to get out to New Orleans, and that ain't but like 30 minutes from me to go catch a game. So you're a Titans fan. I didn't realize they were so new. I knew they were one of the newer teams, but only since 2007. So did you have a team that you supported before then?
So I was 12, 13 at the time the Titans came in. So for everyone who doesn't know, obviously the Redcliffe Dolphins are the newest team that came in last year, which is about an hour and a half up north from where we are on the Gold Coast. And the Gold Coast Titans are the second newest team, which was obviously back in 2007. So only about 17 years in the competition. But yeah, I was 12, 13 at the time. My mum is from Cronulla, so she's a Sharks fan. My dad is a Manly fan. And we were growing up in Brisbane until I was 12. So I was still super young and still didn't really kind of know what I wanted just yet, whether I wanted to go down the path of getting around mum's team and whatnot. I was never really into Manly, to be fair. I never really, because they're very, especially when I was growing up as a young bloke, they're very hated by a lot of the competition for like what they did in like the 70s and 80s kind of deal, Silvertails. So even though my dad was a Manly fan and I kind of didn't mind them for him, I never was really going to go down that path. But it was between the Sharkies and the Broncos. And look, I'll be like completely honest, as I've said all the time, if the Titans hadn't have come in when I was on the Gold Coast, I probably would have ended up becoming a Broncos fan because that was where I was from. But yeah, I'm so glad the Titans came in, because then I would have had to put up with 2015 and last year's grand final, and I don't know if I could have handled that. Man. I don't know if I could handle that one. So, but
that'd have been tough. That'd have been tough. Last year's grand final would have been tough for you, man.
So basically, what you're telling me, though, you got a little civil rivalry going on at home. Ain't no one support the same team. How does that work? Whenever you're sitting there watching games and stuff, y'all trash talk each other?
Well, so my mum and dad have been separated since I was 2 years old. So, but they used to have bets all the time and talk and smack to each other all the time about their teams. And mum, so the Sharks won their first premiership in their entire history in 2016 after 50 years. In the same year as the Chicago Cubbies broke their 108-year drought, same year as Leicester won. It was just a year of all the underdogs breaking droughts and stuff like that. And Western Bulldogs in the AFL did the same thing after 60 years. And so she's seen that moment for her team. And until that moment, she was always going to be 100% Sharks. And she still is. But there's not so much smack talk from her towards me anymore, because I think she sees how passionate I am. She wants me to have my moment like she got hers. So Dad is kind of similar as well. He's seen plenty of Manly premierships over his years. They had 2007, 2009. No, sorry, not 2007, 2009, 2008, 2011, and stuff like that. And now we've got Desi Hasler as our coach, who was their coach. So they're kind of getting behind our team now. But yeah, they still do have their snide little remarks from time to time. That's for sure.
Yeah, I love that, man.
That's pretty funny.
Well, let's talk about the Titans, man. So as you said you're part of what is the group that you call? Because I was looking at some images. I know Nan said he went and looked over some of your vlogs, and we see you in a crew banging a drum here. What are y'all called?
Yeah, so that photo there is actually with our women's team. So to the left in the photo, looking at this way, on the left is Riley Jorgensen, who plays for our women's team. And then the two girls on the right there is Shaylee Bent and Jamie Chapman, who both play for the NRLW Titans team, who made the grand final last year. We unfortunately lost to the Knights in the grand final. But what we called as the front line, they were just joining us for the day there and getting amongst it at that Titans Bulldogs game to finish off the season, and shows what a community club we are. Because the year beforehand as well, we had I don't know if you guys know the names of all the players and whatnot, but AJ Brimson, Tina Fa'asul Malawi, and Tanner Boyd, they came in and did the same thing as the girls did the year before, and shows that we really are a community club, and that's called the Frontline, which is the official supporters club of the Gold Coast Titans. So, yeah, I've known people there for 14 years, man. I've grown up with them. My boy Dano to my right-hand side, Rhonda, who is getting older now, and I really want to see us win something for her. And we've got Antonio and just people I've really grown up with, and that's why I'm so indebted and dedicated to the club that I'm with, because the people that are alongside me, I've been alongside for 14 years, and there's been people have gone, there's been people have come and then gone again and come again, and that's just how it's going to go. But it is a family with what we do there in the front line. Yeah.
Well, dude, really the thing is, some of those like newer teams with a smaller fan base, it isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, it might not have the numbers or whatever that all the public wants to see. I mean, I'm a supporter of a small market team in New Orleans. The Saints have kind of became a name just because of the Drew Brees era, but our Pelicans team, they ain't nothing. And we get trash talk all the time about how we're a small market. Our fan base isn't that great. They're not large and all this stuff. And it's like, but you go to a stadium, go to a game, and you actually hang around the people that are real fans, it's going to be the best experience you're going to have. And it seems like it's the same way with y'all. Like, you go there and enjoy it, you're going to love it.
Well, absolutely, man. Yeah, like I'll double down on that and say that, when you're supporting a big time team, and like the Gold Coast is a weird market. I wouldn't say it's a small market. It's not as big as like Brisbane or Melbourne or Sydney or even Auckland, because then you obviously get the whole of New Zealand in it. But the Gold Coast isn't exactly a small market. It's just a really weird market, because Gold Coast is similar to Vegas in a lot of ways, where it's very transient. There's a lot of tourists that come through there. The Gold Coast is the most beautiful place in Australia. So that might be a little bit different to Vegas. They don't have the beach in Vegas like we do. We have our city is, and I will always say this, the most beautiful and best place to live in this country. And this is where everyone comes to holiday. So a lot of the time that people come through here, they've already got their team that they support. And if they move here from somewhere else, they don't usually grow up here. So they've already got that other team. Yeah, we do have a real core audience and core fan base that I know. Go on.
Yeah, no, I would say that's more similar to like how like LA is. Like, because a lot of people in LA have come from different parts of the world. So like, the big thing with the Los Angeles Rams in particular, they come from St. Louis, where they had a really good fan base, now in LA. And it's a lot of people adjusting. Some people have adopted them as their favorite team now that they live there, but there's been moments where it's like it won't look like a home game sometimes. Is that similar to y'all, or is that?
Oh man, I'll tell you. So New Zealand, Gold Coast is like a second Auckland, right? That's what we say. Yeah. So when the Warriors play here, man, so last year, if you go back and watch my vlog from then, you can see how outnumbered we were. There was like a 21,000 crowd, and we probably had like 7,000, and that's being generous. Titans fans there to their 14,000, 15,000, which I know might not be massive numbers for the American audiences and whatnot, but for us, like in Australia, in the NRL specifically, that is a very TV dominated sport. That is a solid enough crowd, and they were very loud, man. And we get outnumbered most times by most of these well-established clubs. Like, you go back to the Dragons, they've got like a 80, 70-year history kind of deal with St. George and also Illawarra. You've got the Roosters and Rabbitohs who've been around for 115 years now, since 1908 and stuff like that. So, so when we've got our club, we've been here for 17 years in a transient city, whilst they've been in a city that was designed kind of from them, and for 115 years, it's always a tough battle from us,
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you definitely are the new kids on the block. It's going to take some time, probably. Another 50 years. Another 50 years, you guys will be great. It'll be great.
Well, I think people let's not hope for 50 years. Let's not over that. But I think that a lot of the
you'll still be old and great banging the drum, man. I said you'll still be old and great banging the drum. You'll be all right.
Yeah, 100%. I'll be banging those drums loud and proud, man. Which does get tiring. People don't realize that there's a lot of effort into actually what we do, rather than just standing there and doing a drum kind of deal. People always think, oh, he's just putting a camera in front of his face and banging a drum. Why is he so tired? There's a lot that goes into it, but that's like mentally and physically and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'm with this team through thick and thin, man. That was what our slogan used to be through the 2010s.
Yeah. I mean, you're spot on with it. I mean, the mental investment as well. I mean, like you said, when you're mentally invested into something, like especially as deep as you are with the Titan, it's like you feel those losses. It was interesting whenever, we talked last week, we were trying to figure out scheduling and everything like that. You're like, it's just been a rough week. And it's like, I knew exactly what you were talking about, because last season, that's how I felt every time I watched my Saints play. I was like, this is a rough week. I don't feel like doing nothing. I didn't want to stream. I didn't want to record.
Yeah,
I had to like really wake myself up.
I know the feeling, man. Yeah, 100%. Like people need to understand as well is that like, and I posted this on my story today because I do a podcast for the Titans with Clark, his Rebel League column, who's one of my best mates. And we talk all things Titans week in, week out. Now I see these players, you know, at training, at game, post-game, pre-game, at events and whatnot. Like I know these boys and have personal relationships with the organization and the players. But then also you've got the fan appeasement side where fans are like coming at the throats of players and saying, you need to be honest and say it how it is. Otherwise, you know, you're not telling the truth. You're not credible. So you're kind of having to be in the balance of not kind of throwing people under the bus, but also telling it how it is. And then you've got the fact of, I travel to every single game. So there's the travel involved. There's the financials involved. There's I've got little kids coming up to me and, you know, crying, saying, or even adults. I remember the Dolphins game last year. I had like a 65-year-old man come up and cry and ask me what's going on. And I don't even have the answers. You know, I don't have the answers myself, let alone to give it to somebody else. And, you know, so you've got that mental side of things. You know, you've got your own emotional investment in the game. So, you know, when you lose, you know, I feel it within me. And it's just, there's so many. And then I've got to edit the vlog myself. So I watch myself back being sad for 2.5 hours for everyone else's enjoyment, knowing that full well I'm going to get hate for the fact that my team just lost and lost badly. So I deal with that, and then I'm going to do up a stream for the next games. Obviously, I stream every single game. So that's why I was like, it's a bit of a rough week, man, and it's not necessarily the greatest this week either. But we just keep on keeping on, man.
Yeah, gotta keep pushing, man.
I mean, gotta have a positive attitude, especially when you're in situations like that. Trust me, Zach knows, and I know my team has been going through it for a long damn time. So I understand.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
So I know Nan said he watched a couple of the vlogs. I've actually yet to watch a full one, man. I went in and I kind of like skipped around during your live stream. The last one that I was in there for, I like pounced out and I was like, well, I need to pay attention to the game. And then of course I got sidetracked. But Nan noticed something particular about one of them. Tell him what you saw that you were interested to find out about.
Oh, well, I was watching it and it got to a certain part and I was like, why are they wearing wigs? Because you and your 4 friends, y'all put the wig on, which I'm assuming is based off the head coach. The head coach, that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, so Desi, that's Desi Hasler here. So he's infamous for his crazy hairstyle, and we decided to kind of get behind him and back him in because this is his first year as a coach of the Titans, and okay. He's working real hard. He's the first coach that we've ever had that's actually won a premiership before as a head coach when he was obviously at Manly and was in 2 grand finals when he was at the Bulldogs in 2012 and 2014. So that's another reason because we obviously had so much hype and excitement that things were going to change under him. But I think we were all just a little bit unrealistic that it would be like at the drop of a hat immediately. And that's where the disconnect between how fans are saying and organization is saying right now. But that's just to represent Desi Hasler, man. That's just to represent our coach. And I love him, man. We'll probably wear him against Manly in a couple of weeks' time.
That's hilarious.
And then I just thought it was cool unity thing. If you the goal is to get more people in that section to wear them, you know, not just you 4 guys.
Well, it's the first time we had it, so we're definitely planning to, and we're working with the club alongside this as well to get everyone as much as we can with the wigs on.
Yeah. That's gotta be those type of games. The environment's crazy.
Main page of the Titans, you can see his hair looking crazy. It's looking crazy too in the regular picture. I was like, he didn't even call it for the picture. Like he just said, screw it, just do it. Yep. Take the picture so I can go back to the field.
Exactly right. Yeah, no, it's good to just get the fans involved and stuff like that, man. And it's a bit of a laugh, especially in a tough time. You know, it's a bit of a laugh that people do need, and we need, let alone everybody else. So no, it was good fun, and all those guys that we saw there, I've known them for many years as well. So
I could definitely tell the friendship is there. I seen it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, we were talking a little bit before we got on today, and we were talking about your experience down in the U.S. and went and checked out some of your stuff on your other channel, BKR Sport US. So what's all that about, man? Explain to us a little bit, like where your love came from with, you said now the MLB has been a big thing of yours. You said you're a Bulls fan, correct, as well?
Unfortunately, yep.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, in regards to the Bulls. Yeah, look, it was like I've always been a massive sport fan. I love I'm all about community, so I love what sport does for a community. You know, you go back again to the Cubs of 2016, and you see how much that impacted the whole city of Chicago in a moment like that. And it's like people are living tough lives, people are struggling, but yet sport can bring you together to give you that little brief form of happiness that you know just gets you through that moment. And that's what I really believe. That's why I want the Gold Coast to be successful so much. Even though we live in such a beautiful place, that's why I want it, because I want to see our fans and our people happy for the first time, because the Gold Coast has never won anything in any sport ever, any sport.
Oh, wow.
So it's a pretty hard one there, but yeah, I love all sports. So I've grown up watching Premier League in England, and obviously basketball, the NFL. So I'm also, unfortunately, maybe not now, but back in the day, Detroit Lions fan in the NFL. And that was because they were blue and they were from a tough kind of area. And they were going through a rough time, and I was just like, I just associated with them. And then that's been a tough struggle. But no, look, in 2019, I was going to I was going to Las Vegas for the rugby sevens, and I was doing which is a different sport for all the Americans out there. Rugby, different sport to rugby league, and rugby union, different sport to rugby league. So I was there for the rugby sevens, and I was doing some media work with them, and that was great for a couple of days in Vegas. And then I went up to Chicago for 3 months, and I thought, as I was saying to you guys before, I thought I was going to go and fall in love with basketball more by being there. But it was actually, like, I wasn't there during the NFL season, unfortunately. But I would say out of the 3 sports I was there for, baseball, hockey, and basketball, I actually enjoyed baseball 1, hockey 2, and then basketball 3. And that could have been because the Bulls weren't going well at the time too. But like the hockey, like no Australian will understand what atmosphere like is hockey, where it's just so quiet. Everyone's sitting down. They're watching the game, and then if someone walks past with like a drink or something like that, you get people throw stuff at you. It's crazy how the atmosphere will go from literally 0 to 160. Like
that's
what I really appreciate about hockey. Yeah. And then with baseball, it was just about the culture of it all, man. Like my first stadium that I went to was Guaranteed Rate Field for the White Sox. And that was great. It was a great experience, but it was nothing like Wrigley. Like Wrigley Field for the Cubbies was just, I walked in there and it was like an epiphany. This is my calling right here at Wrigley Field, and just the surroundings of it and history of it. And and I think we won 10-0 that day with Johnny Lester. John Lester was the pitcher at the time. We whooped the Pittsburgh Pirates. So yeah, amazing experience. And I was there for 3 months, and
I mean that'll have you fall in love with a team putting up 10 points. That'll definitely do it.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's funny because I bet, like you say,
that's pretty cool.
It's the culture too, like of going to different things. Like with Wrigley, we actually have a video coming out where I mentioned this story, so a little sneak peek into it. We went to a Wrigley game. We're out in the outfield. I can't remember who they were playing against, but the opposing team hit a home run, and this poor like older lady caught the ball. And they have a rule there: if you catch a home run from the opposing team, you are not allowed to keep it. So they start yelling, "Throw it back, throw it back!" And she didn't want to and someone had to take it out of her hands and throw it back on the field. Like you weren't keeping it.
Yeah. So I'll say something on this. So and this always made me nervous, like because obviously I'm Australian, right? So if I caught a home run, I would have wanted to keep it myself, Like, and I love Cubs fans, but they will bully you to throw that ball back. Like, they will absolutely bully you. And I noticed throughout the multiple games that I went there, people would bring like an old dilapidated ball that was just like had already been used and whatnot, and they'd put it down like in their seat or on their chair. And so if they caught it, they would kick that one they caught, and they would throw back some random ball that they've had from the past. Yeah, smart, man.
Smart.
Yeah, I remember I was there for a Cubbies and Cardinals game, and we hit a grand slam, which was amazing. And obviously, we all know the Cubbies-Cardinals massive rivalry there in baseball. And there was a grand slam, and the next inning, the Cardinals hit a home run. And I tell you, when someone caught that ball who was a Cubs fan, everyone booed the absolute shit out of them there. It was wild. And he was forced to throw it back. So
hey, it's like you said, there's nothing like the experience at a stadium, man. Regardless of what it is, what sport it is, it's it's something out of this world, man. It's so easy to fall in love with it. And I know it's different around the world and the intensities and everything, because we react to all sports. We're American based, but we like to react. We do NRL. We've been doing cricket a lot recently. We do some soccer, some different stuff. We do some kabaddi, coco, all this other sports that we've never even heard of at the time. We've been doing that, and a lot of people say, the atmosphere is nothing like don't compare our atmospheres with y'all's, especially like in England and your South America and stuff like that with the ultras. And it's like, I can only imagine how crazy that is. It's like, but don't downplay. Everything has their own experience and their own little quirks that makes so fun.
Yeah, the thing is with that as well, though, is that different sports have different atmospheres because of the way the game is played. For example, like in rugby league, we can't chant like they do. So I think I can speak for this one, considering I specifically am the one to do this for the Titans. But you can't do the long chants and atmosphere like you get in the Premier League, because that's an elongated game in football. This is just football in general, where there is there's just not like things happening, bang, 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 people passing it. There's structure, there's tactics, there's all different things, and it's just a lot more elongated. Then when that one moment happens, that's great. But you can do those long chants because it gets you through those long moments. With rugby league, it's bang, one tackle, bang, two tackle, 3, 4, 5, and then you give it over. So it's like it's more stop, start, stop, start, stop, start in that regard, even though it's a lot more flowing than other sports where you can't, and then there'll be a knock on, like in the second ball,
out of nowhere.
Like that, and you don't want to chant anymore because they've got the ball. So it's not possible. So that's why we just have those basic, chants that just get people going from third tackle onwards, towards the back end of the set, because it just doesn't make sense to those long ones. So comparing sports atmospheres, and, in America, with the NFL, you'll kind of get like a chant going for maybe for the play, and then they'll stop. Like they'll get like all the noise loud, getting crazy, whatnot, but then they'll stop and it'll be quiet until the next play kind of deal. So yeah, it's just different on different games.
That's experience too.
Compare because they're all just different.
Yeah, because it's certain with New Orleans.
It's cool that you said that.
Yeah, go ahead, Don.
I would say it's cool that you said that, because from us trying to explain that to our international crowd, our supporters, it's like they don't want to hear from us because we're Americans. But from you saying it, it just kind of backs and solidifies what we said. It's like, it's just, even though there's no knock on any other sport, it's just don't knock ours because you've never been there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
At least give it opportunity first. Let's give it opportunity.
And we also say you got to check out the good ones. Like college football experience is like no other. It's just wild, drunk college kids just going crazy the whole entire time. It's so different from any other game, especially if you get a late SEC college night. Alabama and LSU. They literally get so loud, earthquakes happen. There's like literal earthquakes show up in Louisiana. That's the only time they happen. Is because of that.
Yeah, what I love about college basketball and whatnot is when like an unranked team will beat a ranked team at their own home court, and everyone floods the court and whatnot. We see it occasionally. Yeah, storm the court. That's the one. I've always wanted to be a part of that, but it's like you can't ever make sure you're a part of it because it's an unranked team. So you're never going to kind of know when that happens, man. So that would be such a crazy moment, but yet you can't do that everywhere. But because it's college and it's because these guys are they're all going to school together and whatnot, it's a lot kind of better to do that. Like it's really.
Oh well, there's cool heavy fines that go along with it too, man. It's crazy because like with they had one just a couple years ago in Tennessee, and like they get wild, and that was for football. Whole football field is flooded with people coming from the top rows, coming down to the bottom. They broke down the field goal post and then threw it in a river. It's just.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, they fine the whole school for that.
Yeah, it's a big fine.
I know the school has to pay for the uprights. Uprights are like 10,000. Each upright is 10,000 a piece. Because it happened to my school. I went to Fresno State and we beat Oregon State, and it was the first time we had played them. Maybe like 20 years earlier. Never played them since then, but played them, and they were like this Pac-10 team that was on the rise, and we were a team that nobody was looking at, and we played them at our home, and we beat them. I mean, we beat them bad. And so we everybody rushed to. It was crazy. It was the greatest feeling ever. So I understand.
Hey,
what
listen,
you're saying.
you're not paying the fines. It's okay.
Right.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That school already taking all of our money to go there. They might as well pay the fine for us to have some fun.
Yeah. That's how I found out the uprights were worth like $10,000.
Jesus. So the one thing I wanted to ask too before we go into like more of our like straight topics is, what's your thoughts on Americans reacting to like NRL and doing different things like that? We've gotten some mixed feedback. Most of it has been positive. And for those that don't know, that's how we got introduced to BKR. We did a post for the upcoming event in Las Vegas that's now passed. And he gave us a comment on the video. And funny enough, our boy Mozzie, who's in the chat right now, he pulls up into our live stream. He goes, "Bro, do y'all know who just commented on y'all's poster?" We're like, who? He's like, BKR Sport. We're like, who's that? He's like, dude, he's huge. He's huge. You got to go reach out to him. You got to y'all got to do a podcast. I was all right. We'll see what we can do. But so what is your thoughts on like Americans reacting
Mazu,
and stuff?
if that's his name, I appreciate that to that follower to say that, man. But yeah, look, I love what is done here because it promotes the game, especially considering that Peter Landis and the NRL are wanting to kind of take that route and promote the game more in America. So it always comes down. It's like me, right? I'm a fan and I'm promoting the Titans. And you guys are fans and you're promoting the NRL from a place that obviously we're kind of going to. But it's always good to get, as we've kind of spoken about a couple of times already on this chat, is that it's always good to get somebody else's perspective from a place that's not where you are. So it's all good to get Queenslanders and New South Wales perspective in regards to rugby league, but it's good to get outsiders' perspective, especially from the United States, where we do have a very similar game on the core of it, obviously very different in regards to the NFL and rugby league. But at the core of it, it's still kind of like slamming into each other, making tackles and, going past the line. And we put the ball down. You guys obviously don't put the ball down. So, no, I think that it's really good to see reactionary content like that. And especially considering whilst you're reacting to it for the first time, for example, when you're reacting to Greg Inglis, that's then taking me and the other fans of our game back to when Greg Inglis was playing, when he was just a monster, man. He's one of my favorite players of all time. I'm from Queensland, so I love Greg Inglis when he was in Origin, when we won 8 years in a row, and 12 out of, 11 out of 12 or 12 out of 13? I don't know, New South Wales fans. We win too much. Sometimes you forget about it. But yeah, like it takes you back. It takes you back to a time that you can really reminisce on some amazing moments and whatnot. So that's why I think what you guys do is really good. Yeah, that's why I commented.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been.
It's good to know. Good to know.
It's been the fun part of it, man. Is like going through that whole experience and like learning the different things, learning the rivalry. Like the rivalry between Queensland and New South Wales is probably like my new favorite thing of all time. It's probably my favorite sporting event, State of Origin. Now it's so much intensity with it, and it didn't help, or well, it did help that the first one that I ever watched was Game 3 2 years ago, and that was the first rugby league game that I even watched live, and. Yeah, they had the Ben Hunt intercept, and then in the beginning of it, there was like 3 concussions, 2 fights, and I'm like, oh, I'm in. And it's like 4 a.m. Like I didn't sleep that night, so like I was pretty tired. Like coming in, I had some, whatever. Wasn't sure how the stream was gonna go because we were fresh. Like we were really new. I don't even think we might not even have been at 500 subscribers at that point, and I was just like. Oh, woke me the hell up, and I told Nan the very next day because he wasn't able to be there for that one. I said, Nan. I said, we gotta start doing some more of this. I said, this sport is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, like in regards to, Origin, it's not as crazy as the rivalry is just as intense as ever, but the fights back in the day, have you watched the old fights? Because they've obviously bring back the biff, strictly taken that out of the game a lot more. Exactly right. Bring back the biff. So like the days of Wally Lewis and Chief Harrigan and I remember Steve Price getting knocked out as a Queenslander by New South Wales in one game. I remember Ben Craig running behind as Justin Hodges was going at him, which was hilarious. That was about probably 15 years ago now. And the fights used to be the biggest draw card of it. So like that you would go to it expecting that someone was going to punch on with someone and then everyone's going to punch on with everyone. Obviously nowadays the game has gone away from that where you don't get that as much, but like you'll still see it a little bit, but it's obviously not as heavy as it once was. Right. But the rivalry is just as big as ever. But New South Wales fans are always they're always the favorites, and Queensland are always the underdogs, and Queensland just always seems to find a way, man. I think it's because people who aren't from Queensland or New South Wales, and this is no disrespect to anybody, no disrespect to you guys, but you don't fully comprehend why the hatred is there between Queensland and New South Wales. It's a lot of outside of rugby league things too, like political stuff, like growing up and just kind of throughout the years, it's always been that Queensland is well, Brisbane's not Sydney. Like Sydney is the tourist destination of the world. You know, everyone wants to go there and no one thinks about Brisbane, you know, and it's just everything is down there in New South Wales. You've got Canberra that is Parliament and whatnot that kind of it's not New South Wales, it's ACT, but it's in New South Wales. So it's a bit of a weird one there. But overall, it's like Queensland have always been put down as just like a, you know, beautiful place, but don't care. Whilst New South Wales has always been brought up as like that central point. So there's always that underdog mentality there too. And I guess that's why, and New South Wales fans will hate me for saying this, but that's why Queensland gets rugby league and gets state of origin, because it means more, because we've got less teams and we've just, we've got a lot more to prove is what I'd say. Queensland has a lot more to prove than New South Wales. So that's why it's always getting over the top as an underdog.
Interesting.
I mean, it makes sense to me. I know we got a couple of New South Wales people in here. Most of our people are more Queensland, but we have a couple of them. And Non's actually a New South Wales fan too. So, you know, you can take your beef up with him. Like he's like, you want me to kick him out? I'll kick him out.
Get him out of here. Yeah, that's it. Get him out of here.
Well, so when we first started doing the channel, we created our IG page, and I started following a handful of sports teams, and the Penrith Panthers kept popping up. And so
here we go. Here we go. Yeah, so you're a Panthers fan, are you?
And so my team is the Raiders, which is silver and black.
Oh, okay.
So they usually rock black, or they rock the pink jerseys. You know what I'm saying? So I started following and like liking their pages and looking at stuff. And this became like, okay, I like them. And then it just happened to be they were in the grand final.
Just happened to happen. I wish the West Tigers would just happen to make it to the finals. I mean, look,
I didn't know they won so many times back to back until afterwards.
So if you had started supporting them like 5 years ago, up until 2020, they weren't that great. Like 2003, they obviously won, but they weren't. They didn't have a great time late 2000s and 2010s for the most part. And then Gus Gould went there and redeveloped them completely. And then obviously 2020, they made the grand final, lost that one. It was the scoreline doesn't reflect how much they got pumped by the Storm in that game. But then obviously they went on to win those 3 premierships. So, like obviously, man, you know, when you support a team that's good, I'll get called a bandwagoner or a glory hunter one day for the Titans because people won't know who I am at that point. But I'll get it. So it's like you just kind of have to put up with it. If you know that you support them for the right reasons, who cares what anyone else has to say?
That's right. Not understands that because with the Warriors.
That was the media attraction.
Because with the Golden State Warriors, because he's a Golden State Warriors fan.
Golden State,
but he's from Oakland, and everybody's like, "Oh, you just like because of Steph." Or because they win.
I'm like, no, I've been a Warriors fan since before Steph was born. Before he was born, I was a fan. Trust me.
Like I say all the time, man. It's literally all about if you know that you support them for the right reasons, then that's all that matters. Because no matter what, you're always going to be called a bandwagon at some point. I know Panthers fans who were genuine Panthers fans for a long time that nowadays get called bandwagoners. And it's like, well, you know, obviously the banter's going to be there. The sledge is going to be there, especially a part of Australian culture specifically, you know, in regards to tall poppy syndrome. Like, we'll support a lot of it. Like, for example, right, and I'll speak to the Tigers fan in the room, is that everyone supports the Tigers, you know, to kind of get out of the wooden spoon era. But I tell you right now that once they start becoming successful, the hate will just get thrown right towards them, man. So it's all about building them up and then bang, man. Yeah,
that's I would say that's the world of sports. That's just the world in general, man. It's such a hate world, man.
Yeah.
But let's go into some of the topics here, man. The first one, the main one that brought us together that we want to talk about, obviously, is the NRL Las Vegas experience and what all went down there. Just for some viewer notes for everybody, they obviously had 40,000 people attended both of the games. But as far as video views go, or watching on TV, it was nowhere near what they would have liked. They only averaged about 62,000 views per game. And, you know, some of it has to do with what we talked about even just throughout this is, you know, how they represented the game. They kept calling it rugby. And if you're from the US, you know what rugby is, and you probably have had some type of experience to it, and you have it you know whether you like it or not, or at least you think you do. Yeah. If they would have promoted it as like rugby league and explained and went in and said how this was different, I feel like it would have brought more attention, because then people would have been like, okay, well, what is all this about? The biggest miss that I had watching the game was that I wish they would have had a commentator kind of break down and explain the rules as the game was being played. That way, as a first-time viewer, you understand what's going on. You didn't have to do research. Like, we knew watching it, but a lot of people probably had no clue. They're like, oh, knock on, and then all of a sudden they're up and running again, and everybody's like, what the fuck? What just happened? You know? What do you think are some things they could have done to make things better?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I'll say, though, is that for me, like, it was the first time. So I think people are always going to have those unrealistic expectations that you're going to have 1 billion, trillion views, like, immediately, because obviously you have your love and your passion and you believe in it. For example, what Peter Vlandis and the NRL community has. So we have that belief in it. So then a lot of people project that like immediate, oh, they're going to be obsessed with it straight away, all this type of jazz. And it's like, it's just not true. And that's why it's a 5-year plan here, where I'll be there in the next couple of years. Like, every single team will be there. It's not just the same teams repetitively. And it's about building that base. And although that 60,000 isn't great to start off with, and that's just obviously in America, the fact of the matter is that that's still 60,000 right there. So then hopefully by the time next year comes around, maybe you can bump it up to 100. Maybe you can bump it up to 150,000 because you've already got that foundation from the original one. I do think that, look, you're right in regards to the rugby/rugby league thing, but I also don't, and you would know more about this than I would, because obviously you guys are Americans, but, you know, I don't know if a great deal of Americans would have cared too much about that, just simply because it's still going to have the name rugby in it, like rugby league/rugby. They don't know the differences comparatively to like us, and as you guys have started to learn, right? So it's not really on behalf of our fan perspective, and obviously we understand the differences, but on behalf of a lot of the United States audience, they wouldn't have understood the difference immediately. So, I see it a lot more positively than people saw it, just simply because, again, if we get to the end of 3 years and there's no progress, then sure, okay, it was a failure. True. But not in its first year will I come out and say no, because at the end of the day, there is that foundation that's already been set, and then we just progress from there. And with I think the biggest miss, and this is a lot of Australians' complaint, the fact we didn't take the Canberra Raiders over there to play the Brisbane Broncos, because there's the Las Vegas Raiders and Denver Broncos rivalry there. So you could have got a lot of the locals out to get behind the Canberra Raiders. Yeah. Although the Raiders aren't a great team necessarily, it still has that representation with Las Vegas. And then you've got the hatred of Las Vegas versus Denver in the NFL that you get them to get out there for the Raiders against the Broncos. So that's what I thought was the biggest miss. But I also understand that they took over the Rabbitohs for Russell Crowe, Manly for Hugh Jackman, and Broncos because they're a big market team that obviously were in the grand final. Panthers were in the World Club Challenge. But that's a good benefit about next year, is that they're thinking to take the World Club Challenge over there, I believe. So, for people who don't know what the World Club Challenge is, it's Australia versus England. Yeah.
We actually just learned about that recently, because we just did the reaction to the one with Penrith and the Warriors. Like, I forget what the city it is.
The robbery.
Yeah, that was insane. Because because the thing is, when we first started, it's like so many people told us so much. Like, we've heard about like the 7-on-7, we heard about the rugby league in England and this, and it was like, it got overwhelming. And I was like, let's just think about NRL. And then finally we got recommended to check that out. And I was like, oh, I said, so this is actually even crazier. And they had lost back-to-back years, correct?
Yeah.
Penrith had?
Yeah, so the World Club Challenge is a weird one, right? Because like this, so St. Helens beat Penrith last year, and it's weird how this year, so St. Helens beat Penrith last year in Penrith, and that was fair. They just outdid them, they outworked them, they were the better team in that game. Penrith came in underdone. Also, it's still technically, actually, this is something I'll explain to you. So the World Club Challenge for Australians is considered a preseason game. They still want to win it, and they still definitely want to win the game, but it's more classed as like a a warm-up preseason that you want to win. It's your first real official game kind of deal as you get into the year. For England, they've only played a couple of games, but they've got like a Queensland mentality where they're always put down. Like Super League is not as good as the NRL. Super League is trash. All this type of stuff, and they've got like something to get over the top of to prove. So they treat it like a grand final, whilst Australians treat it like a preseason game. And then that's when you'll usually see the English team actually get up over the top of them. Because I'll always say, and I'll maintain this for everybody, if you put St. Helens or Wigan or whatnot in a 27-game season in the NRL, I don't believe they make the 8. I simply don't.
Yeah.
But you can always win any 50-50 game in that regards, and especially when they treat that individual game as their grand final. So that game against that Wigan this year, though, was crazy how many Penrith haters became, defenders of Penrith because of how that game unfolded, obviously.
Yeah, that was rough.
But, But so I don't think that it's like Yeah,
I mean that's similar as to like with the MLS, the Major League Soccer. They play a team from Europe once a year, and for the Europe team, it's just like, oh, this is just go and kick around. For them, this is a big game for them. It's a chance for them to show any talent that they might have to the world and stuff, because MLS ain't getting clicks like all the other big leagues are. And then even basketball is starting to do that now. And it's funny enough, it's similar situations where during the preseason, we have teams that are playing against other teams. I think they played, who was it? Was it Dallas that played against Real Madrid or something like that? Yeah, and got their butts whooped, and it was
Dallas
preseason,
and lost to Yeah. I definitely think with when it comes to what happened in Vegas, I think the part of the failure was the advertising of the sport. If they would have took the time, like they would, normally when they advertise certain aspects of certain sports, like when they do NFL, they tell this story and they use this great action to tell a story to use as advertisement. If they would have did that and showed hard hitting, great touchdowns, how the fans look, and told a story through visuals, and sold that every NFL game coming up to that meetup, and you advertise that, I'm guarantee you there would have been a different attendance.
Yeah.
I would agree. And the reason why, what I would say to that as well is that obviously, like again, it was the first time, so they'll learn from their mistakes. They'll learn from their mistakes and recognize kind of what to do next year. Because Peter Flanders is very intelligent. Like this game is massively beneficial in the financial regards nowadays compared to when it was going on a negative trajectory. They have so much money now, the NRL, and that's why it's really, really positive for the future. They're looking to bring in 20 teams by the 2032 Olympics, right? So another 3 teams. So, like potentially Christchurch, the South Island, New Zealand, which will be an amazing rivalry in New Zealand, which will take away from them. I'm telling you, people don't understand the NRL making moves, man. They put Christchurch in. So now you've got the North Island of New Zealand who hate the South Island of New Zealand in regards to, well, not hate, but have that rivalry. And then you've got those 2 teams going, which will take away from the rugby union audience there, because people will have a reason to kind of really get amongst the rugby league rivalry, which has already been building in New Zealand recently since their Pacific Nations Cup win, and also because the Warriors have been doing successful. So there's Christchurch. They're thinking about bringing in Papua New Guinea, which is a mad rugby league. Like they're more passionate about rugby league than Australians.
No kidding.
They are. Papua New Guineans are. Oh yeah, man! You should see how much they care about Origin. It's like they're not even from Queensland or New South Wales, but there's stuff that you can't talk about on YouTube that happens in regards to how much they get amongst Origin and whatnot, right?
Wow.
And they're just so obsessed with the game, and it's so great to see that. But the only issue is that you get personally from my perspective, going to Papua New Guinea as an away fan might not be of greatest interest, especially if there's like a close game and the Papua New Guineans lose to your team.
Yeah.
You wouldn't really be a fan of that one, all right? So
got you.
There's that option. And then obviously the biggest complaint with the NRL is that Perth isn't involved to make it a national competition. So we're on the East Coast with all the teams, and we used to have a Perth team like 26, 27 years ago, the Perth Reds, but they obviously went defunct and they're trying to bring them back. So it just shows the amount of money that is involved here and how well it is going. And I think this is all going to be massively beneficial once we look back at it after the 5-year plan of Vegas. I think we'll look back at it and go, okay, yeah, this really has done a great job here. But the hardest part for you guys always will be the time zone. The time zone is always going to be the most difficult part. When I was in Chicago, I was watching the Titans come last in 2019. We came last, and I was watching it like 2 a.m. and I'm like, it's
tough.
I only getting up to watch this at 2 a.m.
I only get to catch your streams because I'm staying up late doing homework or something like that. That's normal. I have you in the background while I'm doing that, and it's also just a struggle in general in order to watch the games. I mean, I'm sure there's a subscription based thing that you can do in order to watch it, like some type of what would you call it, like HBO Max and Hulu and all that. They'll have something for that.
Yeah, but a streaming service.
But to be able to do it for free, or to not have to pay that high price, you got to have a VPN. Then you got to go to On9 and you got to create an account, and you have to fake like you live in Australia in order to be able to watch the games. And it's like we jump through hoops in order to catch them live. It's just certain things like that. And I think you're right. I think as time goes, like they'll work out something to make it. I mean, they don't want to dip their expenses so high without seeing results. I mean, you don't want to go all in, even though it was Vegas, you don't want to go all in on the first hand. You got to slow it down and figure out what the evolution's going to be. Because the hardest thing for me is that if we weren't in this space that we are in right now, we never would have heard of it. It never was advertised, especially nowadays. A lot of people don't watch television like they used to. People don't sit down and just watch TV. They watch YouTube content. Or they're watching movies on Netflix or Hulu or whatever it may be. And then the NRL not allowing people to make content with highlights of the game or highlights of players. Like, I felt like that was such a miss, man. It was such a miss.
That's a problem that, that's a problem that rugby league has in regards to broadcast that we as Australians complain about quite a lot. Now, the AFL is relatively similar in this regard, but it is a negative. I've seen many content creators get taken off the platform, and even my
we have friends that have.
He is a big. Yeah, he's a big content creator, Clarky, and even he's had problems before. And it's like, you can't put any game footage. I've had to have conversations with the NRL in previous years where I used to, for my vlogs, I would film part of the game and then put it back on me. And that would come out like a couple of days after or a day after, but they would still say no to that. They'd still say no, and that you're going to get, removed kind of deals. So you can't have any footage of the game whatsoever. And it is disappointing because it would promote the game so drastically if you're able to do that, especially for content creators like you guys, or even myself, who would put a part of the game in the vlog so that people could understand exactly what I'm looking at. But still, the main focus isn't on that, but on kind of what we're creating in the stands. So, but you can't do any of that. So that has been a problem that a lot of people have in Australia. But I don't know. I don't actually believe that's the NRL itself doing that. I think it's the broadcasters personally.
I think it's on 9.
I would just assume that was from the broadcast.
That's what it seems like. Yeah,
that's interesting because I think when I watched your vlog, I noticed that. Then I watched Hainsey. Is Hainsey? That's his name?
Hainsey, yeah, Roosters fan, yeah.
Yeah, because I seen him on your stream last week, because I went to see. I saw you was going live. I clicked on it, and it wasn't you. It was him. So I went to his page. Game, I went to his page and watched his vlog, most recent one. And I was like, why they don't show the game? Because here Americans will show NFL and basketball, and they might get a claim, but they won't get a strike. You know what I'm saying?
That's the biggest thing. A claim is fine. Like if they want to give a copyright claim, I guarantee most creators are going to be perfectly fine with that. Like most of them, it's just getting eyes and audience, to be able to come in. Like as for us, it's like when we post videos, we never care if there's a copyright claim. Copyright all you want, take the money. It's not what that's about. It's growing a platform, it's growing a community. I mean, that's what we've all been about since we started. And the fact that you can't even get it's just instant blocks, and then we had a moment where before they started blocking it, we had to go in and just delete the whole portfolio of all the content because, like you said, there's been content creators that have had videos up for months, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh yep, nope, strike, then you out.
Yeah, man. It's very frustrating, and I think that people or whoever the one is in charge thinks that it's all about like a financial gain for all these people, a financial gain for people like us. But when it's like, no, we're not doing it for the financial gain in that respect. We're doing it to be able to promote the game. And it's just super unfortunate. But, they just want everything to come through their circles and their kind of their profiles and social media. But they don't realize that we can then direct them to their social media via that with the extra eyes on the game. Because you see that with the Premier League all the time. So, yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, it feels like they're just behind on
it. The NFL, NBA.
Right. Yeah, because the NBA now, they don't even copyright anymore.
Yeah, well, Australia is always, I would say it's always like 5 years behind America, right, in a lot of aspects, because we do obviously take a lot of things from the fact that we are so aligned. And I don't think that Australian sporting teams fully understand, or Australian sporting organisations fully understand the social media impact that it can have positively for their game yet. I think that they're still starting to learn how much it can just gigantically explode. And I feel like that's a good thing that we are going into the American venture here with Vegas, is because I think the NRL will learn by seeing all these other creators doing this for the NBA and for the Major League Baseball, for the hockey and for the NFL. I feel like the NRL maybe by the end of this 5 years will actually understand it a lot more, where it will be a lot more accessible to do that and it will be copyrighted but not like removed kind of deal. So I think, that could be a positive that comes out of it. But then again, that's just, I guess, maybe wishful thinking as well.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole goal, man. Is just to be able to expand the game. I mean, because we even had people from our like NFL, NBA streams that were like getting into it, like what asking us questions. We had some other content creators, friends of ours, that were like message us, like seeing the videos doing numbers, and they're like, watch one, they're like, man, what is this? Like, how do we watch it? Like, what do we do? And it's like, and we're small, like what we're gonna need you to do, BKR, is look, Blaze, we're gonna need you to lock it the hell in. All right, get to 1 million subscribers. All right, get us a meeting, okay? And we're gonna pull up deep. All right, we're gonna get this stuff figured out.
The funny thing is, right, is that like obviously in America your population is so much larger than ours, so like people don't recognize this, but. And this isn't like this is just kind of speaking on the stats of it all. On YouTube, there's actually only one rugby league content creator that's bigger than me, and that's Dan and Kemp, bloke in the bar, who used to obviously play for the Brisbane Broncos. I think he's around 42,000, 43,000. And then you've obviously got me down at 26,000. So it shows that a lot of people don't understand that our game is obviously a lot more of a smaller market right this very second. It's starting to expand with like the likes of Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, Cook Islands, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, and obviously England. And then you've got now America that they're trying to expand into. So it is starting to grow. But right now, like the biggest channels on YouTube are, Kemp, myself, Rugby League Guru, Nathan, that I know well, all these guys. But it's still around that 18,000 to 40,000 marker, whilst you've got the NBA content creators who are in the millions, right? So it comes down to the population size there, and then the specific kind of viewership for that and whatnot. But that's why it's all about the passion of the game rather than the size of it.
I mean, the good thing of it in your case, man, is that you're one of the pioneers. I mean, so to speak, growing your channel, one of the pioneers for the sport, to be able to be that branding, man. Like,
that's pretty fire, man.
Don't let them quiet your voice down, man. Because like this is my thing, and like anyone that's watching that has not checked out BKR stream, make sure y'all go and check that out. We're gonna drop some links down below so y'all go and check out his channel. But like the energy you brought during the games, like even when the games were like slower, it was like I felt I'm trying to come up with words that don't work with my head right now, but like I was engaged. That's what I was looking for. I was engaged. I was engaged into what I was watching like instantly, and I don't even have the game up. I'm just listening through the screen like that. It takes talent to be able to do that, to be able to not have the game on, but understand exactly what's going on and wanting to continue watching. I think I watched 3 games in a row with you from 11 o'clock at night till like 4 or 5 in the morning. I finally was like, dude, I got to go to bed before I just stay up all night. I got to get off. I'm sorry. I'll see you later. So big shout out to you, man.
Well, no, I appreciate that, man, because like obviously sometimes it gets tough on that third game of the day. Like on the Saturday games, we have 3 games, which is probably the ones you watch. But it's good though, because I can't do it without the subscribers, because obviously we've got the live chat. So I think I was the first to start doing live stream commentary and whatnot in regards to YouTube, and we started out with 0 people there, and now obviously we get between Sometime or on like a flat line, we'll probably get about 100 people concurrently. And then obviously what you saw for the Eels Tigers game, we can get up to 550, 600 kind of deal.
Insane,
and sometimes we'll get 1,000 plus and whatnot. So, but the thing is that it's not necessarily all about me. People don't realize that it's also about the chat, because I'm bouncing off the chat too. So like I'm commentating the game.
Hell yeah.
But it's the people who are there that we know are regulars. You know, Dasmate's been around for ages. Jay Hayes, Slapper's been there for ages. You know, Trucking Down Under, Justin Sundo. I know it's like what I've designed it as is like mates watching the game, right? And so that we're all being able to talk about what's happening. But you're also getting the commentary experience. So that's kind of how it's been done. Yeah. It's definitely gotten a lot better than it probably would have been 4 years ago.
I hear you. It's a growing, it's a curve with it. Yeah. Definitely, I definitely get that, because that's how we kind of treat it for ourselves. We treat it where it's like either quote unquote sports bar or a man cave, and we're in there, everybody's having fun, because it's late. Most people got a beer in their hand or a beverage in their hand or even a glass of wine, and it's just something you want to have fun. And everybody doesn't have to be a fan of the same team. Just come and chill, have some fun, and talk your trash. If your teams are not playing, talk your mess, have fun.
And it's a way to not have to listen to Blocker Roach as well. So if you guys know who Blocker Roach is, he's the we consider him as the worst commentator of all time. So people come, like I will literally get people who come into my comment section and they go, "Oh, I haven't seen the channel before. I'm going to subscribe because you're not Blocker Roach. because so you're not him. I'm going to subscribe and listen in." So
yeah, man.
That's actually pretty funny.
That's what it's all about, though. It's the community, man. I mean, like, we're smaller, coming up, doing our streams and stuff like that, and like all of our regulars and people, we try to make them feel like family, and they feel like family to us. Like when we don't see a certain person like for a couple weeks or something like that, we're like, damn, I hope that person's okay. Like it's people from all over the world. Yeah. Never meet them in person, but they feel like family.
Yeah, we had this a few weeks ago, actually. So we have a guy who watches us from Zakynthos in Greece. Now, a lot of people wouldn't even know where Zakynthos is. Amazing, beautiful place. And he would always, his name is Oya, and there was always just one comment. He would randomly, he's a Dragons fan, big Dragons fan, and he would just randomly pop into streams and just like say what the time is in Greece, saying that he's from Zakynthos and go Dragons or something like that. And that's all he would put. And everyone would always put like the Greece flag in the chat and get around and whatnot for a bit of a laugh, because he was just such a regular that would randomly pop in for one comment and then stick around but not comment. And then he went missing for a few weeks, and we're all like, "Oh man, I hope he's all right." Like, we haven't seen it. And then the one time he comes out, the time he returned was when the Dragons beat the Titans. And he just started letting me having it, man. That's when we knew he was alive. Because he just started letting me have it. And the Dragons slapped the Titans. I'm like, "Hey, we're caring about you. And now you're insulting me." I'm like, "Hello." No, he's a good bloke, man.
That's too funny. But that's good time. Good memories, good times, though. Good memories, good times.
Yeah, no, it's good.
That's pretty cool. I like hearing stuff like that.
So last couple things just about this topic in particular, man. What would you consider a win after the 5-year contract? Like, what would be considered a win for you and for the NRL?
I think a win would be it's very difficult, because I don't know specifically what the NRL is really dedicated to trying to achieve here, besides the fact of the promotion side of things, which is not really tangible for the viewers, like for us to know kind of what that success looks like there. But I think that it will be classed as successful if like a contract gets renewed, is what I would say, because that would then tell me that the NRL has seen the progress with what their achievements are, because again, we don't really know necessarily what individual statistics that they're seeing and what they're getting and whatnot. So for me, the win is in the fact that if there is like I would love to see this go to, like obviously right now it's in Vegas for 5 years. It would be great if it was taken around different places, like to New York or to Chicago or Los Angeles for a year. You know what I'm saying? Like just to promote it in different areas of the USA. And people here love it, man. Like people here, it's a good way for us. Like I can't wait till we get selected to go over. There is a chance that, I can say it. There is a chance that we may be there next year. But we will be there within the next 2 years. So I will obviously be there because I'm at every game home and away. And a lot of Australians will use that. They will use that as a way to go and travel and experience it as well. So it also helps out in that regard, where we're bringing in some, tourists to experience the city as well.
Give you an excuse to go have some fun in another country.
For us, absolutely. So the win for us is the renewed contract, whether that be in Vegas or elsewhere. That means that the numbers have been hit, the KPIs have been hit.
Well, look, all I'm saying is that if when the Titans come down, if they come down and you come on over, you give us a holler, man. We're gonna try and make our way. We wanted to go this year. We were really upset we couldn't. We just had some things that happened right near the end of the year. Like, we were literally about to buy plane tickets. I already had a place because my dad goes to Vegas, so I get rooms and stuff like that. So we already had everything just about lined up. We just had to purchase it. Thank God we didn't, because January it went down. So, but we're really hoping to be able to go next year and hopefully go every year. Forbid with work and all that stuff. It's just cool, man, to be able to experience those different things.
I'd love to be able to. Obviously, I'm pretty well known for having the drum at Seabass Super Stadium and getting the drum chant started up and whatnot. I would love to be able to bring it over, but I also don't know how logistically possible. Not logistically possible. You can definitely bring it over, but how. Because you don't really, in American sports, you don't really have that kind of chanting with those drums and whatnot. But would Americans kind of be annoyed by that, or what?
Some stadiums do have it. Like, you might have it in like Washington. I know Atlanta. Certain teams that have. Usually, it's because they have like a Native American type.
Yeah. But you usually have to get some type of approval. That's the one thing with the U.S. That's what a lot of people always say. Like, why we don't have flags being hung out and all that stuff during games, and it's like because. Legally, they don't allow you to. They're really strict. You ain't even allowed to bring in a bag that isn't see-through into the place,
Yeah. It's more likely too in baseball too. Baseball, they do have it in baseball. But in football, it's rare. But, I mean, if you go through – this is not football, so it's just getting approved by the stadium and if the NRL allows it for that event. Because I wouldn't see nothing wrong with it. I think people will love it.
I mean, if anything, that's what brings the experience home. Like, if I'm the stadium, that's what I would want. I'd want to get the experience from Australia and Las Vegas. I don't want Las Vegas to dictate the experience. I want that circle for those, whatever it is, 3.5 hours, like you're in Australia. Like that's what it is. Get the feel of the fandom and the experience you get if you were out there. Let's see. I think the last thing I wanted to say was, what's your thoughts on we came out that the 49ers president was interested in buying stake in the NRL team, and then that apparently Las Vegas wants their own team. What's your thoughts about that? I feel like that's just so long of a travel, man. I wouldn't want it personally.
I did hear about this. Yeah, I did hear about this, man. Like, we're struggling to fit in Perth, who is 5 hours away from us on the other side of the country. So Las Vegas is a bit of a tough ask there, unless you had I guess the Toronto Wolfpack, when they were in the Super League, I think they had 12 games at home and straight, and then 12 games away straight. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. But that's kind of how that would have to work. But with that being said, all the traveling teams from Australia that would come, it's just too far, man. It just wouldn't work in regards to that. And that's why, for me, obviously, I look at that. That's why I look at the Canberra Raiders as being a team that they could really associate with a lot of the time, with the fact that they've already got that Raiders name there. But yeah, look, obviously it wouldn't work in regards to bringing a team in from Vegas. It just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, for sure. That's my thoughts too, because there has been rumors with the NFL, really wanting to get a team out in Europe, and for a while they thought it would be the Jacksonville team. That's why you always see Jacksonville traveling out to these different stadiums, because they really wanted one down there. And I'm like, don't do that to these players. Because if we're talking about players' health and their family and well-being, all that stuff, and then the family, it's just not fair. I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, even then, man, Europe is not as far away from the States as Australia is. And that's a lot better of a situation than Las Vegas to Australia, eastern coast of Australia.
Let's say, it's got to be at least a 14-hour flight?
Well, Vegas, I think it's about 12 and a half, 13 hours maybe to Los Angeles. And then obviously you got to get from Los Angeles to Vegas and whatnot. So, probably around that.
I'm good. I'm good. I can't stand planes, man.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
All right, well, let's so Nan had to go step away for a second, guys, but he will be right back, and then once he gets back, we're gonna go ahead and get things just about ready to close out. We're gonna ask you some fun questions that we always do on our podcast whenever we got a guest with us. But I do want to do a quick shout out to everybody that's came and tuned in. Appreciate all you for joining us. See you in here, Richard. Welcome, Richard. Appreciate you checking us out. Mozzie in the building as always. Appreciate you, my docs. All the takes with AJ. Appreciate you for coming join in. I am reading all y'all's comments. I know we're not responding so much. Normally when we do the podcast, we normally try to not respond as much. That way we can keep the conversation rolling. But during our normal live streams, play-by-play, if you ever want to come and check that out, we're reading every single comment, don't matter how many of them are. Man, when we did the NRL game in Vegas, when we went live for those, so that was the most viewers that we've ever had. I don't know how you can handle like 500 to 1,000 at one time, man. We had, I think we peaked at like around 150, 170, something like that. And the comments were flowing, and I'm like, I've got to read everything because that's like kind of our skit. And I'm like,
yeah,
we aren't gonna be able to do that.
What I do. Yeah, well, what I do. So, and I actually have this conversation with other content creators who have this same kind of question. Is that like it can get very overwhelming when you have those large audiences in. Like I remember when I did a boxing fight, which was actually Paul Gallen versus Mark Hunt back in the day.
Okay.
Paul Gallen was an ex-player for the Cronulla Sharks and whatnot in New South Wales, and that got like 10,000 live viewers, and that was really overwhelming for me. So from that day, I've kind of put the KO in front of the viewer count, so I don't even think about how many viewers are there. I just see obviously the comments flowing in, but. Yeah, it gets tough, man. And then, like I try to read as many comments as I possibly can, but obviously it's you've got to go back and forth with the commentary and the chat. But yeah, it's like that Bills Tigers game the other day. We had I think 550 550 600 in that peak moment, and usually when those kind of viewers are coming in, it means the game's too crazy. So you're not really looking too much at the chat. You'll just commentate the game.
Yeah, just
like a field goal's about to happen or something like that. So. Yeah, you just have to kind of focus in on what you know is going to happen. But yeah, I think a really good mental thing to do, man, is to block out how many viewers are there, so you're not even thinking about that. You're just commentating like normal.
Yeah, that's probably smart because it's funny because I get excited. It don't bother me nervously. I get excited. Yeah. So then I'm like, go.
And he has to read everything.
Bro, chill the F down. And I'm like, my bad, dog. I'm just hyped. But that's also why we got our good friend Mozzie. I'm going to gas up Mozzie one more time. But yeah, Mozzie holds it down. Normally when the chat starts getting too crazy, Mozzie's one of our mods, him and Trade a Wave. We're like, look, if chat starts going crazy and we're commentating a lot, we're like, look, hold it down. Answer questions as if you were us. Talk to them. And they help us, man.
Our moderators are that's the guys I said before, like Dazmate, Jay Hayes, Trucking Down Under, Justin Sundo, and the likes. All these guys, they and now Sammy Jenkinson and whatnot. Like they know now kind of exactly what to do at the right time. Like they'll time out someone immediately. Like if the Titans have gotten beaten 32-0 the day beforehand. We're all very well aware the next day on my stream, I'm going to get an absolute bucket load of morons, right? Yeah, there's going to be a bucket load of people coming in to talk smack. So they know that I can, they know to like remove those kind of comments before I see it so that I'm just commentating like normal kind of deal. Right. And then there's obviously always going to be trolls and whatnot that come through in general. So yeah, I really have so much love and respect for my moderators, man. I don't know if I could do without, and as you guys probably have the same with yours as well, because you're always going to get people who are trying to cause a ruckus, is what we'll say. We call them Muppets. Yeah.
Muppets, I like that.
That's a good thing to call them. So that's perfect because they are.
Wait, is that why? Muppets. Is that why you have? My bad. Is that why you have the Muppet emote on your for your members?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we have the was it Kermit the Frog, I think it is.
Yeah.
Is the Muppet. Yeah.
I was looking through them and I was like, funny. Why is this here? I was like, this has got to be some slang that I don't know. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, no, well, because obviously you don't want to swear anyone, right? Like I would never want to do that, and by calling them different things, so that's why it's like a good kind of bit of a laugh, but also you're telling them stop doing what you're doing. You're a Muppet, but without swearing them. So that's why it's a really good thing. And Jay Hayes actually came up with that back in the day, but it just prevented us from saying something that we just didn't want to say on a stream, obviously.
Yeah, Mozzie said we
smart move.
Mozzie likes to teach us some slang words. So he calls us Usies and calls people Usies whenever they're mad. We'll refrain from what that means. People that
is he like Samoan? Is that like something to do with like
no? He's Tongan.
Is he Samoan?
New Zealand.
Oh, close. Yeah,
he's
there
Tongan.
You go. Yeah.
From New
That's our
Zealand.
docs, man. But I guess last thing before we wrap everything up, man. First off, I just want to say, really appreciate you for coming and join us, man. You definitely did not have to do that. You know, taking time out today to come and join us was fun, man. You gave us a lot of great insight on the game. You know, hopefully we'll be able to take some of the stuff we've learned from you today and, you know, use it in our future videos and hopefully collab again soon, man. Hopefully next year your team will be out here, bro. We'll definitely link up. We'll go grab some beers and get some food and enjoy it crazy.
Hey, listen, you guys need to get out here, man. Like, obviously I'll be there for Vegas, but like if you want to,
I want to, man.
Like, obviously you've got all these big teams, man, but I'm telling you, like we are able to create an atmosphere in the front line that you will love to experience. And I'll hook you up with tickets, man. If you get out here, you've got tickets to the game, man. So you know, just find a way to get to the Broncos.
We're gonna make it out there one day.
Most definitely.
That's the goal.
If you come out here, man. Oh yeah. And then also when you come out here, if you need to find a drum, just we'll find you a drum. we'll find you a drum.
Yeah.
We'll get it going. But some fun questions to ask. I'm gonna let Non ask the fun question. He loves these questions, man. Go for it, Non.
Let's see. Let's get back to it. Okay, so just like a little silly thing, if you were forced to live on a desert island, right? Just you and one singular object, what you can only bring one thing with you, what would that be?
This might be controversial for a lot of people here, man. But I'm going to say the Bible. I'm going to say the Bible, man, because I believe in God. So,
I like that. Though. I like that.
Yeah,
I personally like that one. I think that's actually a great question.
I could have sworn he was going to say
this
drums.
one is
he's just going to keep himself entertained until time went down. Sitting looking at the wind.
I'll go on with that. No, I'll go on with that one a little quickly there, just to explain. Like, obviously, I've actually reconnected with my spirituality. This year, I would not have been able to do mentally without reconnecting with my spirituality. So, yeah, I would take the Bible because that brings me a lot of comfort. So that's a genuine answer. But you know, I could say sushi as well, but no, I'll say the Bible.
I mean, sushi is a good answer too. But Bible is a great answer. It's a great answer. So I definitely I like that because I'm also going through something myself where I'm trying to reconnect as well. Yeah, I'm reconnecting as well.
It's so funny.
I love that.
Not to beat the drum again, but like literally same thing, man. I just started last week to try to get my reconnection going. So funny enough, dude, always happens that way. Oh, yeah. And then hit him with the last one now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, man. I know we'll move on to the next one now, but it's amazing that you guys are saying that too. So yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you.
So last one is if war broke out, right? And you're ready to go in battle, you had to take one animal with you in battle. What would that animal be?
So the animal right next to me that is going to defend me. Is that what
he's your battle companion?
Yep. He's either going to defend you or you're going to use it. He's your battle companion. Who would you take into battle?
We have a lot of crazy animals in Australia, man. As you guys,
I was ready for this one.
Yeah. Well, Americans focus on it a little bit, like it's a little bit crazy because like we obviously have a lot of crazy animals, but they're more like inland where it's not near us kind of deal. Like they're in like the desert of Australia kind of deal. So I would actually look towards like something that I've found out like in regards to how full on like these bears and stuff that you guys have are. Like you've got these really full on black bears and stuff like that are like crazy. Yeah. And then you've got like not you, but in Africa, there's like jaguars and stuff that are really full on. Oh man, it's a hard one. So the battle is on land, though, right? Battle is on land.
It could be what you know. It could the battle.
If you want to take it out to sea, you can. You know?
Well, I'm just saying, if we're in the water, I'm taking.
You trying to invade an island? Go for it, man. This is your battle. You fighting it with your buddy.
This is your war. Your war.
I think it's going to have to be like a massive, like the most dangerous bear that there is because it's so big and they're actually quite fast as well that you don't really know. Like they actually do move quite fast with their body, even though they're such a massive creature. So I think that like obviously if you're involving like weapons and stuff like that, it's very difficult. But at the end of the day,
Oh,
I
you
think
can
I'd
put a
be most
harness on
safe
it.
with the bear. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Put a
exactly
harness
right.
on
There you
it.
go.
Put some Kevlar on that
I
bear.
believe
That'd be some
bears.
crazy shit.
I believe bears run about 25 to 27 miles an hour, and the fastest human, I think, topped out about 22, 23. So no matter what, they're catching them no matter what. So
I got him.
yeah.
Get
So
slapped
and then
down. You're exactly right.
so you would either have a black bear or a polar bear, because the polar bear is vicious.
Polar bears are the crazy ones
those
too.
are vicious,
you're
bro.
right. Yeah,
And then look, and you get the scare effect from them too, because once they get somebody and they got the blood all on them, I ain't going near that thing. Yep, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
right.
good.
Yeah, because the white really brings it out.
Yeah.
The white fur and stuff shows that blood. So, hey, listen, you see, you guys are on my same wavelength. You guys are on the same wavelength. So,
exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Because polar bear would be my answer, 100%. But no, yeah. Thank you, man. We truly appreciate you doing this. We know time difference is a thing, so we just appreciate you for stepping up and being able to come through for us, man.
No, I appreciate it, man. Obviously, we will. Now you know as well about the difference between New South Wales, Queensland, and time zone as well, because obviously we have the daylight savings.
Yeah.
We didn't know that was separate.
You know, what's funny enough is when I was
certain times of the year. So
when I was looking at the times, when I was trying to schedule it all out, it showed like daylight savings. I remember someone telling us that some part of Australia didn't use it, and I was like, it should be fine. I was like, it should be fine. We'll rock with it. So yeah, it didn't work. But
it's always a raging debate, man, between like Queensland and everybody else, because we just don't want daylight savings and we don't need it. But like the Gold Coast is literally on the border, so there is a little bit of the Gold Coast that is in New South Wales, and then obviously most of it's in Queensland. So like you can live on one side of the road and be an hour in front of the other side of the road there. So like people going to work, it really messes with them, kind of deal. And,
that's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty full on. But like Queensland, I think Queensland and South Australia don't do it. And South Australia is a weird one because they're like on a half time zone. Like as in like we're right now for us, it's let's go 2:00. And then in South Australia, I think it'd be like 1:30 or 12:30 or something like that. It's
that's weird.
Right now is that
would throw that throw me heck off.
Because you guys have the like different time zones, but it's on the hour. Like they're all on the hour. But with us, it's just like for some reason South Australia, Northern Territory, I believe, are just on that half-hour switch, and it's just so weird.
That's interesting.
They just like they just live in their own life. All right, let them folks be in their 12:30.
Oh, don't worry, man. They definitely live their own life in South Australia, man. There's something else over there. Don't you worry. Don't leave start me on Tasmania.
Maybe you should have got. Maybe you should grab one of them for your battle companion instead of the grizzly bear. They seem like they might be on something.
Yep.
Well, it's definitely good to know. So I added Gold Coast to my my clock now, so I see. It's definitely a difference in time.
100%. But then again, it will go back to a time at some point where at the same time. So this is the thing; it's only for a certain time of the year. So I actually don't even know when the time zones go back. To be fair, the chat probably knows more than me. But all I know is that someday it goes back to normal time where New South Wales and Queensland same time zone. So it's I understand why you got confused, because for the people watching, we were going to do this at 1:00 my time, but they thought it was New South Wales time, so that's why. And then I got a message at 12, and I was like, I don't know, wait, an hour early.
About an hour.
And then we realized,
Oh, good. Well, I appreciate you working with us. I'm glad we were able to have this happen, man. This was so much fun. Also, William Hunt, appreciate you coming join in. I see you joined in right at the end. Said nice collab, guys. How are we doing? We're doing great, William. We are about to wrap things up. So those of y'all that are watching this after the live broadcast, make sure y'all go down in the description where you can check out BKR Sport and go give my man a subscribe. Go join in on all of his live streams, and definitely got to go check out his vlogs. From what Nan has told me, I got to go back and watch. They are bangers, literally. They're
entertaining. They're definitely entertaining.
Well, they'll be more entertaining when we win a game. Please.
Oh yeah,
just one.
Everybody pray for it. We all gonna pray for it.
Yeah,
we went on being like,
whip them on.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. My name's Zach.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, man.
And we're out.
Nonpfixion.
Cheers.
This is our Blaze. Appreciate you.